All right, everybody have a good day? Yes? All right, informative day? Outstanding. What was the favorite? Did anybody go to the Jeopardy? No? Yeah, I see one, yeah. I was set up. I just want you guys to know that. All right. I need to clear the record. This is my one chance to do it. So, all right, well, I think we'll start. People are filtering in. They'll get the gist of it. I think we accomplished the goal that we wanted to accomplish today with this first Southern California Cyber Symposium. We know that people have an interest. They want to be here. How many people are here from local cities? That is outstanding. That is really outstanding. Let's give a round of applause for the people that are here from local cities. Who had to travel a long way to get here? Northern California. Let me get a round of applause for Northern California. That's really saying something, because that's an important issue if you're going to get on a plane and come down here from Northern California. We appreciate that. So there's two things that we want to accomplish with an event like this. Is one, we want to start building an appropriate relationship with private sector. And I say an appropriate relationship is because you should be informed on what to ask for. And then private sector should know what your needs are. And that really becomes the appropriate relationship as you start to work with them. And that's one thing that an event like this is really good for, is we educate you and them, because they get educated from talking to you about what your needs and your requirements are, because it's very different than the private sector. So for that, that's the first thing that we want to accomplish at an event like this, because we can't really accomplish this without buying some product or software or solution somewhere. And it's important for us to know which ones to buy or how we want to shop for them. So do you feel like you were a little bit more empowered to make those decisions after today? If you had to sit down and have a discussion about what products you needed to meet your cyber needs, I think that was one goal we wanted to get at. If that's the one takeaway you have, that's awesome. The biggest takeaway that I would like you to have is that hopefully you've had a chance to exchange business cards with one another throughout the day, get to know each other, and discuss common problems that we all have. And hopefully that this grows into an ongoing relationship where we want to work with each other a little bit more on these issues. I know that I've had some conversations with folks that have been very encouraging, and we want to be able to continue to have this dialogue and discuss how best to move to the next steps, because there are some barriers that we would have to work through. I mean, it's government. There are things that mutual aid isn't just like, hey, I really want to help you out, let's do that, because then somebody's counsel loses their mind somewhere. So we have to make sure that we figure out how to crack that nut. But the willingness to have that conversation is huge, and so I appreciate everybody coming here so we can look at it as a broader problem. Moving forward, obviously we want everybody to be safe when you're heading home, and keep that in mind. And we would like folks to stick around for a little bit and talk more after, if we have a happy hour after this event. But moving forward, we want folks to think about next year's, because we may be reaching out to some of you for the next year's advisory panel. We have city members here that weren't on the advisory council this year. This was largely an event that was drafted by some city people and a lot of county people and a lot of other executives. We would like to see more city government represented on the advisory panels, because you have unique needs that we want to see addressed. And I think having you here and having your contact information, we're going to be able to have folks reach out to you for next year's event to discuss if this is something you may want to participate in supporting as an advisory panel member. And I will tell you, as an advisory panel member, I was on the advisory panel for the Northern California event. I was obviously on the advisory board for this one. You get to drive the curriculum a little bit. You get to kind of figure out, well, what you think is important to you. And that's important and that's powerful. So I would highly encourage you to consider that if that opportunity comes up before next year. I was very pleased with the speakers. I thought they were good. I thought we had some really good speakers today. I enjoyed the keynotes. I enjoyed the lunchtime panel. And I really liked the discussions on incident response. And I thought that was pretty powerful. I think the big takeaway is it's a big problem, and it's bigger than all of us. And in my last remarks, before I turn it over to George, is I still want to drive home, and I'm going to keep saying this, I want us to go back to our departments, our executive offices, and really start changing the conversation to make this a public safety issue. We really need to keep talking that cybersecurity is not an IT problem. In fact, we want to create a situation where the cybersecurity professionals are customers of IT like anybody else when we need things done. But we really need to address that cybersecurity is a public safety issue and everything that that entails. And if we continue to drive that conversation, I think we're going to change the landscape and how government actually can approach this issue for not only ourselves, but for the constituents that we support. So with that, I'll turn it over to George Khalil.
I want to start by thanking the executive board putting this together. We put a lot of hours to try and put the content, the material. Jake, Linda Lee, Joe Oregon, and Russ, and Sherilyn as well. There's a lot of time and effort to develop the content and find out what's important to you. And next year, like Jake mentioned, you know, participate and engage us to try and plan this, because the content is driven by what your needs are. We're trying to solve problems that you're experiencing now. And the takeaways from this conference, I want to remind everyone, security, you get the most bang for your buck getting foundational things done, right? We talked about, you know, identity management, knowing your assets, identifying your data, controlling your privileges, segmenting communication, defense in depth. These are all foundational needs, and if we can't get those done right, it's unlikely that we're going to get a shiny new toy and be able to manage it well if we don't have discipline to get the basics done right in the first place. So I highly encourage you, take the lessons learned, review what you're currently operating, engage your business and partner with them, bringing to the table. Don't go in and telling them, you know, here's what's broken. Explain to them what business process needs to change rather than fixing a one-time problem that keeps on coming up over and over and over, because you'll be in an endless cycle without really driving change in the behavior and business operation. The problem will continue to resurface and you're not going to accomplish anything. So changing behavior, changing business process, and also share with your colleagues, exchange the business cards and see what works for others and what how we can combine all of our knowledge to better the security within each one of our organizations. And I want to thank you for sticking around, and thank you for making this a successful event, and give yourself a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Okay, now I can start on my 40-minute presentation. Yeah, it wouldn't last 40 seconds. It is now 4:21. They told me that food and beverage would be set up at 4:20. So it's been waiting in there for a minute. What are you guys still doing here? Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, PSP has enjoyed putting this one on for you guys. We look forward to seeing you again next year. There'll be an email probably coming out in about 4 months asking if you want to participate in the next advisory board. The only way we can ensure that the content meets your needs is for you to get involved. You don't have to produce the forum. You just have to offer guidance so the content of the forum meets the educational needs you've got, okay? My only request. Other than that, eat, drink, and be merry, and we'll see you in a year. Take care.